Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Yankees Farm Report. Today we have a newcomer, Kai Rogers. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been great to see you guys all on Twitter and then finally meet and talk about the team and the organization.
Awesome, awesome. So, there has been an unusual amount of movement throughout the system the past couple of weeks or so. We saw Lombard move. Recently, we saw, um, geez, what was it? Eric Razelman got the call to call back to AAA, and from my opinion, he could have probably went right to the Bronx. And you had Chris Veach, who was called, who actually graduated up a level. Getting right into things, moving on to the FCL. We'll talk about our players. Actually, you know what? Our topics are going to be the FCL, the players of the week. We'll talk a little bit about the new top 30s that dropped and mention a couple of guys that are hot right now. Over at the FCL, you have Jose Castro, who hit 455 with a 1556 OPS, two extra base hits, a home run, four RBIs, six walks, nine steals. Wilberson DePena hit 350 with a 1085 OPS, two home runs, nine RBIs. He continues to be hot. Richard Matique keeps hitting himself. He's hitting 333, 1032 OPS, two extra base hits, eight walks. Stevenson Montero hit 300, two extra base hits, three RBIs, who also a recent call up from the DSL squad. On the pitching side of things, you had Rafael Arias, who pitched four and a third innings, one run allowed, one walk, four strikeouts. Thatcher Hurd, three and two-thirds innings, no runs allowed, four strikeouts. Stanley Alcantara, three innings, one run, five strikeouts. Manuel Cruz, also a recent call-up from the DSL, three innings, no earned runs, two strikeouts. And Sunairo Martina, who pitched two and a third innings, one run, four strikeouts. I think we've mentioned this before. The FCL team on the offensive side of things is pretty hot, pretty exciting as well. Probably the most since maybe 2023 team.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and
Jose
it's
Castro, you go first,
go
Aaron.
on. All right, I'll just lead it off quickly, but I think the most impressive thing is just, yeah, like how strong that top of the lineup has been.
Mhm.
Richard McTeague's been the leadoff guy. He was the guy that we were all high on going into the year. Kenny Pineda struggled some, but Lenny Donay is a guy I really wasn't familiar with. He's really caught my eye. Wilberson DePena has no one really knew much about him because he came over so late from the Angels in that trade for Peraza, and he's looked great. And even Dexter's Peralta, who had a really bad year in FCL. They started hitting him seventh in the lineup, and he hit so well that they moved him up to fifth on Tuesday. So, no, it's a lineup that's been going, and it's good to see.
Yeah, and Jose Castro's like just changes already that he's made is really cool to see. Like just the fact that he's came over stateside and is being more selective. The quality of contact's clearly been better. It's allowed for just less whiff and chase, and it's showing. I mean, with the 200 WRC plus, I really wouldn't expect a guy coming over from the DSL stateside to look to make adjustments. Maybe just you're adjusting to life over here, and to see that he's already been so into just adjusting his swing and his kind of just overall approach is really cool. It makes me excited to see what the whole group is going to look like.
Personally, I've just been impressed by Wilberson De Pena. The early returns from the Peraza trade just feel like obviously like Peraza was just getting rid of him in that time, but it's good to see. And the FCL's been personally a tough watch for me the last couple of years. It's hard for me to keep up, and some of the guys just haven't been there, the top guys. So it's just been good to get back into that. And I'm more in like the pitching. It was good to see Thatcher Hurd. I've just been
Mhm.
happy to see
Mhm.
him back out there. I remember
Yeah.
watching him at LSU and thinking that we got him in the third round. I thought this pitching could be like this pitching lab could do good for him, and it's just been good to see him back out there.
Yeah, I kind of I can't remember if I fired I did fire off a tweet about this because now him and Parliament was the seventh rounder in that 2024 draft. They both had Tommy John before the season last year. They've made three starts now. Xavier Rivas he's the best example I could think of. He was coming off Tommy John when he was drafted. He made three starts but four appearances, and it was like 15 innings before he moved up to Tampa. So I think if it doesn't happen next week, I think going into June, I think we'll see both Hurd and Parliament, hopefully in Tampa, I imagine, which it'll be good to see them playing at a more competitive level, but also it'll be nice to get some StatCast add on them.
I think for me, the Wilson DePena has been the biggest surprise because what we saw from him after the trade last season, I didn't really think much of him, but he's really surprised. One of the other guys that I did want to bring up is um, Mac Estrada, not Mac Estrada, yeah, Mac Estrada.
Not
I
Mac
haven't,
Estrada. He hasn't pitched yet.
yeah, I haven't seen him yet, and I haven't seen anything about him. So I think I asked around last week, and I couldn't get a definitive answer on anything from him.
Hmm. He's definitely that one last guy that like still hasn't returned
Hmm.
from that injury.
All right, let's move on to our players of the week. We're going to start off in reverse this time. We're moving right to Scranton. It wasn't much on the offensive side of things. Jonathan or Aurelius hit 292, 929 OPS, four extra base hits, a home run, four RBIs. Carlos Lagrange had his best week at AAA. He pitched to a 2.70 ERA over 10 innings, three runs allowed, four walks. The command was there this week with 10 strikeouts. You had Brendan Beck, who pitched five and two-thirds shutout innings, one walk, nine strikeouts. Kervin Castro pitched four shutout innings, a walk, three strikeouts. Carson Coleman also had a good week, three innings, one run, one walk, three strikeouts. And Zach Messenger, he pitched two shutout innings, no walks, three strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big story going on in Scranton is just, really, especially now that Jones is up, and Dominguez obviously was up before he got injured. The really big story right now is just George Lombard and all his at bats and what he does. It's definitely been a process, but you've liked the way he's looked. He hasn't looked overmatched. He's still being himself. He's not expanding the zone. He's taking pitches that aren't strikes. He's taking some pitches that are strikes, and I think that's, part of him just trying to understand that AAA pitchers can get those edges a little better than AA hitters and AA pitchers, and sometimes he does have to make those swings that he might think is a ball. But listen, the main thing is even though his average does not look good, he has a 367 xWOBA. Um, Process wise, he's doing what he needs to do. He's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting it a good amount in the air. It's just, just kind of keep getting a feel for what the plate is like and what these pitchers are like, and it'll come.
Yeah, Kai, and I'm sure you're going to touch on this because I've seen you talk about it a lot. But I mean, just the fact he's getting on base, I mean, you could just tell he's getting unlucky at the plate. And I know people like to say that, luck and this unluckiness is just something that's not really existent in baseball. I don't know how you could say that. But his average EV is still really good. I didn't look at what it would be like compared to the guys in the majors, but I forget if it was like 91 or
It's
92 miles an
nice. So
hour.
I have it up right now. I'm not sure if TJ Stats website is updated after today's game, but it's 92.3 average EV, which is 93rd percentile, and then his 90th percentile exit velocity is 104.8, which is the 66th percentile. So
Yeah, I
not
mean,
too shabby.
yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how you don't like that, especially when the guy's batting under 200.
Just watching his at bats every day has been like a true joy. Like even when he's hitting like 180 or whatever right now, like he hits the ball hard. At first, I thought he was a little over patient. He takes a lot of 2-0 strikes. He takes a lot of 1-0. And I remember a week ago, I went to look if he was swinging at first pitches a lot. He only had three balls put in play. That was like a week ago. Sometimes I think that he's hitting the ball hard in bad counts and good counts. I've recently last couple days the hits have been dropping. The double today, almost went out for a homer. Wasn't over 100, but right under is close. He hits the ball hard. He walks. He has a great eye. Just watching him at the plate feels comfortable. It just feels so safe. Honestly, it's a good at bat, especially for when I say that when he's hitting so bad when the results are not showing up. And obviously, like people on Twitter will say like, well, he's obviously hitting 180. Sucks. So like
I think though you make a good you bring up a good point about him not being aggressive early in counts. And I think what we saw that made the difference for him early in Double A this year was he was being a lot more aggressive on those early count pitches in the zone and driving those. He wasn't afraid to swing in the zone early. I think this is going to be something he battles with his whole career. His willingness to swing in the zone even if it isn't the perfect pitch. And I think that's something we see the Yankees struggle with. Trent Grisham, for as much as I like him, and he sometimes just takes pitches where why aren't you swinging, dude? And even Aaron Judge. But it doesn't to me come off as he's just, timid or anything. It's just he's really cares about his process and finding his pitch. I don't think it's anything about just being, you know, um, being timid at the plate.
I think for me, it's Lombard just doesn't look overmatched, right?
Hmm.
Yes, the results aren't there. Like you guys have said, balls aren't finding the holes right now, but the loaded balls and the low batted balls in play, that eventually will turn around. And as long as he doesn't look overmatched, I think everything will be eventually okay. Everything will come back to par for him. The one other thing that I did want to say, I think most people are probably on the Carlos Lagrange watch now that Giovanni Cruz is up. Lagrange has to be he obviously has to be the next man up, and it's not if it's going to happen. It's pretty much when is it going to happen.
I mean, I guess it depends on what type of role. Rafael Montero is a guy who has pro experience. Bradley Hanner has done well. Obviously, those two guys need 40-man spots. But then, Brendan Beck gave him 3 innings. I mean, I don't know exactly where they'd go, but, they could even look to him. I'm just, it does help that he's on the 40 man, but it really just is a matter of when do they want to. I don't want to say pull the plug. 'Cause when we speak of him going to the bullpen, I don't think anyone thinks that it's a permanent move. It'd be more of
Yeah.
just a 2026 move, but it's a matter of when do they want to pull that move into the bullpen for 2026? How long do they want to let him keep being a starter at, potentially some of the expense of the bullpen and the MLB level right now? So it's going to be a weird, interesting dance they do.
And I also think they want to keep him as a starter to just keep giving him that
Hmm.
experience, right? Because he's missed time last year. I don't think he played full. I don't remember how many innings he got in last year or the year before that. So I think it's also a matter of development. You want him to continue to try to get to 5 or 6 innings at Scranton.
Would you guys be upset if he didn't get called up necessarily till like after the All-Star break? I don't know if
I
it'll get to
wouldn't.
that point, but yeah, I don't think I would either.
I wouldn't.
That's what I expect, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if they're pulling him up, I feel like it's a playoff push. They need 100 in the bullpen. They need strikeouts. They either didn't go out and get something at the break or there wasn't something available. Like he feels like the typical like Cashman, like we got him right here. We don't need the deadline. Um,
I
it-
swear, man, I would rather try like out here before Cashman goes out because it just feels like every time he goes out to get an arm, it's a dud. It's
It's
a
a triple
dud.
A arm.
And you're like, bro,
It's
you really wasted, this prospect cash for this.
No, please do not trade Jay Savina for some triple A arm. Just
it's
Bro, that was
yeah.
that was me with the Rock Rizzo trade and
yes.
Aaron trying to convince me that the Jake Bird deal was good.
I still like Bird,
I
but
like that trade too,
I
honestly. I
do
can't
it's
not.
believe
it's it's
I do
he's
not. I'm like,
not anymore, but
how do you trade a top
we
50?
have 2.5 more seasons.
How do you trade a top 15 guy for a triple A arm? I didn't understand that.
I will say Cashman is good to know about prospect values, and like maybe I do get where the reversing where you could say maybe you could have traded it for something better.
That's my thing is like
But yeah, but
you could
like
have used that for
I
something
get
else.
trade, and that I think that just goes more back to why he didn't address it more in the off season. You can say that for this off season and last off season. Um, but it's I think they sold high on Rock, which was probably the right thing to do because he's kind of a defensive limited guy who I'm not sure how much of that power he has is actually going to play at the MLB level. I know I haven't looked at his stats in a while. I know he wasn't doing great
He
as
was
of a
player of the
few
week
weeks
last. He
ago,
was player
but
of the week last
oh
week, I
well, there you
believe.
go. Um, but no, I mean, I agree. Like, if you're gonna go get a reliever, go get a guy or as much of a guy as you can find in this market, and call up Carlos Legrand. Like, do
Mhm.
both. Why not?
Rock Rizzo was hitting 260 with 6 homers,
Okay,
876 OPS. Ain't too bad.
no, good for him.
I'm a Rock fan, so.
I am a
yeah,
Rock
I want to
fan.
see him do good.
Moving on to Somerset, you had Jay Savini hit 417, 1292 OPS, 5 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Owen Cobb had a very good week. He hit 313 with a 970 OPS, 3 extra base hits, a home run, 4 RBIs. I want to say that was a grand slam. Garrett Martin hit 292 with a 1037 OPS, 5 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. Tyler Hardman, who hit 273, 742 OPS, a home run, 4 RBIs. I don't know what he's still doing at Somerset. He should have been at Scranton for a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in Somerset, but it's turned into murderer's row. Like it's Jay
Mm-hmm.
Savina, Tyler Hardman, Garrett
Derek
Martin, and
Martin,
Kobe
Kobe
Morales, and
Morales.
even even Jackson Castillo to an extent. I know he's cooled down since he got back healthy, but
Yeah.
it's just what those first four are doing is crazy. And it's something I want to take a deeper dive in is just the year over year power improvement from guys in the system. Because the fact that Avina's already hit more homers than he did all of last year. Martin is one shy. Morales has hit more than he hit all of last year. It's
Hmm.
it's insane.
Yeah, we're only a
Um,
quarter of the way through the season.
yeah, it's really impressive. And I always knew Avina had really nice pull side power, and he always pulled the ball fairly well. But
Hmm.
he's just taken that to a whole new level this year.
I think he hit 20 home runs 2 seasons ago, I want to say.
Whenever he was with
20 plus.
Milwaukee's org, right?
Yeah, I think he hit 20 plus home runs that season.
Yeah, the strikeouts were, I think, the biggest glaring issue, but some like switch just got flipped once he hit that first homer, and now that K rate
Mhm.
since that first homer, not counting today, obviously, is below 30%, which is, encouraging. Also a over 10% walk percentage in there. But Aaron, you already said it. I mean, if you like pull air guys, I mean, Jay Savina's your guy. I mean, he's always pulling the ball like 50% of the time, like 28% of his fly balls are homers. Just he seems like he just gets comfortable at each level like pretty slowly. He just acclimates himself more and more. So I think this is definitely a guy to watch for another deadline move. Even
He is
hopefully
Rule
a
5 eligible.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think him and Garen Martin are both your prototypical they were what we were trying to find in Randall Grichuk. Obviously, they weren't ready to do that at the MLB level this year, but those guys just feel like both of them can be MLB, fourth outfield for the right-handed side type of guys, and you can get good production out of.
Aaron, you talked about it with Somerset. I just want to talk on their numbers in general, but they lead all of AA in homers, 73 homers, next to 66, and they're in the bottom half of strikeouts. They're second in
Bottom
OPS.
half in a good way, you mean?
Yes,
Or
yeah, yes. They are in the bottom half in a good way. Uh, just I was gonna say, like I wrote about Morales a little bit ago, like he already hit his total, just the power in general that we've seen. The top of the lineup looks scary. It's been fun to watch the AA games, especially without like not as many of the top guys, like obviously every day watching Lombard or something like that, but the lineup just looks really good. And all those guys you mentioned, the power just surge. Like that's what you want to see, and especially the strikeouts. I was worried. I was going to say that maybe they're leading or they're up there in homers and top 15 in strikeouts, but they're not. So, um, it's what you want. You know, those guys are climbing super quickly too, and like Jay Savini, you said you don't want to trade for a AAA arm, but he could. Those guys are like going to be mentioned at the deadline heavily.
Yep.
yep.
Mhm. No,
On
and
the
it's good
pitches.
that they've re it's great that these guys have stepped up to restock. That was a big question going into the offseason
Hmm.
into the season is, how do you replace these bats you traded? And one way they do it is guys taking that next step. Yeah, it's great to see them do this at Double A, probably the most difficult level.
Moving on to the pitching side of things, you had Jack Siebert pitched to 159 ERA, 5 and 2/3 innings, 1 run allowed, no walks. Love that. With 7 strikeouts, Xavier Rivas had probably his best game yet, 5 and 5 1/3 innings, 2 runs allowed, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Kyle Carr went 5 innings, 1 run, 5 walks. Bit unusual for him with 3 strikeouts. Trent Seller threw 5 shutout innings, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Eric Razelman, 3 and 2/3 shutout innings, 2 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Hayden Murta pitched 3 shutout innings with 3 strikeouts, and Matt Keating 3 shutout innings with 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess I'll just start again. I think I've probably been maybe one of the biggest advocates of him on Twitter. Shout out to Dale Siebert. He likes like basically every one of my tweets. Great. It's good that he's online
Uh,
supporting his son, but just what Jack has done, and obviously the Yankees deserve some credit. Can't remember. I think he was mainly just sinker cutter, and they really helped get that fastball and that four seam fastball and the sweeper that he uses, and sweeper looks great, and it's kind of a mini Schlittler. He doesn't have the same velocity, but he has those three distinct fastball shapes. The sinker he can get in on the hands of righties. He can work it to the outside edge against lefties. It's just he's just so in command. It's like watching Garrett Cole to an extent where he's so in control what he does, and it feels good to watch.
Yeah, and moving to Rivas, I mean, I've seen you guys post a lot about him, especially after that last start. He just keeps getting better and better. The ERA keeps climbing down. The stuff just looks, borderline unhittable right now. I'm interested to see like the numbers on each of his pitches, like at the AA level. I don't, have access to any of that, but I don't know if you guys have seen anything on that. Uh, that's just great to see because I feel like, I mean, off the top of my head at least, I can't think of besides like Facundo, maybe like a lefty that I like watching so much within the farm.
I think with Rivas, and I've asked about it, he's pretty much sitting 91, 93. And when we spoke to him during the offseason, he spoke about how that was one of his goals was to try to get that velo up. And I remember last year he was mostly 91, maybe 92 at times. So it's good to see he's got
It's
a slight
Yeah,
uptick
it's
in,
up just a tick,
yeah, it's a slight
which is
uptick.
good. You take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll quickly go back to Siebert, but in his first three starts, the first two starts, he had three walks, two walks, and in this last start, he had zero walks, which I thought was the most important part of this last start. He had
Hmm.
7.2, only gave up one earned run. It was on the homer in the first inning too. Um, I've really liked what I've seen. Obviously, I've seen all the posting about him, and I mean, he looks the part. I saw the rise in the ranks. Like he really he looks like he's going to be a really good pitcher, and hopefully for the Yankees, you know.
Yeah, I think he's the next guy for the Yankees, after that ERC and
hmm
Lagrange and Ben Hess. I think it's him.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely get more into it when we talk about the top 30s, but you're definitely not the only one who thinks that. And I just want to give one quick shout out before we move on. Hayden Murda, he used to be kind of a starter. I guess he stopped starting as much last year, but he's really stepped up as a reliever. He
Mhm.
has an absurd 38K percent and 7.5 walk percent. He's looking really good out of the bullpen. So that's just like another, if we can have another guy, I know we're going to talk about Razelman more. And Ben Grable's another guy who I personally really like as a bullpen arm. But maybe Hayden Murta, we should be paying attention to him.
Just real quick, we got murder. Grable. He kind of got blown up yesterday. I think he had 3 runs. I want to say in his line score.
Mhm.
I personally don't mind seeing stuff like that because that tells me, hey, you've hit a wall. Now, how are you going to get around it? You're supposed to be a top prospect. You're supposed to be this big guy. You'll figure it out. So I don't mind seeing that at all. And I know like people like to point out stuff like that when a prospect hits a bump in the road. I mean, who knows if it is just that or if it was just a bad night.
I mean, it's the toughest level. And he definitely, needs to get more comfortable using his secondary pitches, but his fastball is elite. It's, 95 to 97 consistently. Thanks to Baseball America, we now know that has an inverted vertical break of 21 inches, which is absurd. So it's like a 70, 80 grade fastball, even 80 grade potentially. Yeah, more like 70 just 'cause of the velocity, but it's an elite fastball. Um, and that's just, as long as he keeps those metrics around it, I'm confident that he'll get through whatever troubles he's had in his last few starts.
Yeah, moving on to Hudson Valley, you had Cole Gabrielson hit 500 with a 1367 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 7 walks. Kyle West had a good week. He hit 333, 990 OPS, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. And Wilson Rodriguez hit 294 with 3 RBIs, 9 walks.
Saw a lot of people were high on Kyle West coming out of the draft. I mean, me included, I love the pick. I know he started out really slow, so to see him kind of picking it up now is really nice.
Yeah, and I'm also, I want to give some love to Josue Gonzalez. I think when we were talking about catching in the system at that level, Eric Genther, got a lot of the love. He was a UDFA to keep your eye
Mhm.
on, and as he's kind of gone down, Josue has really, stepped up. He has 4 home runs on the season, which is
Mhm.
second on the on the on the team. And it's just, he's a good defender back there. He's only 22. He walks a decent amount. He has a little bit of pop. So it's hopefully he can get the average up a little bit, but he's been a pleasant surprise to me.
And Ganther, by the way, hit a grand slam yesterday for his first home run of the season.
For
Hmm.
me,
Oh
I did
boy.
not know much about Wes coming into the season, and in the last couple of weeks, I've seen him hit some balls really hard and really far. So 990 OPS, he looks good. I mean, I'd like to see some more from him. I remember seeing a couple exit velo numbers from him, and I was like, "Ooh, that does catch your eye. That's something I want to see," especially when I didn't know much about him. So that's where I kind of caught on to him in this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think just the hope is that that strikeout rate can come down to
Yeah.
some. Right now, his strikeout and walk rates are kind of Spencer Jonesian, which, it's one thing when you're Spencer Jones and also doing it in double A, triple A, but, Kyle West isn't even at those levels yet. So that's definitely the thing to watch is if he can reel those in somewhat.
Yeah, since like May 6th entering today, like I think right here he had a .09 walk per K. So that's not really if you're walking a lot, you can make up for the strikeouts a bit. But when your K rate's over
Mhm.
40% really in any stretch, I mean,
Better be hitting
it's a
30 home
little alarm.
runs.
Yeah.
On the pitching side of things, we had Luis Serna, 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. I think he got blown up today, if I'm not mistaken. Andrew Landry hit 3 1/3 shutout innings, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. I don't know why they took him out of the rotation. Tony Rossi, 3 shutout innings, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Willie Sanchez had probably his best week with the Org, 2 2/3 shutout innings, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. And Thomas Paponi, 2 1/3 shutout innings with 3 strikeouts.
I mean, I think you kind of mentioned one of the things that stick out to me is the decision to, move Landry to the bullpen. And, I mean, if we're talking about, we've talked about they have so many starters, some of these guys need to make, headway for others. I really thought moving Facundo to the bullpen would make a lot of sense. And I like him. He has some really nice stuff, but you can just really see how his mechanics are just very not they're not consistent, and it really creates some issues over long starts. And I thought he would have been a great bullpen candidate. So it's definitely interesting that um that Facundo is staying the starter and Landry moved to the bullpen. I would like to see Landry in the rotation again and see what Facundo can do from the pen, but it's they obviously have more information than either of us.
But one thing about Facundo, real quick, I thought he could have been fast tracked if he was moved to the bullpen.
Mhm.
I think last season at a couple of points he got it up to 100 miles an hour. So I would have loved to have seen that coming out of the bullpen for 4 or 5 outs.
Facundo for me was a really good watch the first couple times. He's got that whippy action. It looks faster than it probably is going. And it looked like you mentioned the bullpen thing, and I hadn't like necessarily dove deep into that, but he has the stuff, and I would like to see some,
Mhm.
especially like that lefty velo, that good. Like I said, the whippy actions can be hard to see, can be hard to hit, and he can dominate lefties from that angle too. So. Um, I would be interested in seeing a bullpens thing for him, but he's
And
also
one
been
thing I
solid.
And another thing
and
about
one
that is that he was Rule 5 eligible. The Yankees didn't get
Mhm.
he didn't get plucked, which I thought the Yankees got lucky about. So I would have liked to have seen what they could have gotten out of him, and and how far he could have gotten.
Yeah, and I just, one thing I did notice, I watched his first start. He was sitting like 95, 96 in the first inning, and then he was down to like 92, 93. And that just, I think when you're talking about a guy who's losing that velocity after only like 2 innings, that just screams to me, hey, what if we just optimize this guy in 1 or 2 innings as a reliever? We've seen him hit 100. So let's just let it go over a shorter span. But I think that decision will come soon enough on him. But it's for now, that's how they're going to roll with it. And I just want to see him succeed in what he's doing now.
For Facuna, do you know how many pitches he has? Because I'd only known of the fastball, slider. I know he'd change up.
He has a changeup, and I think he has a sinker technically, but I'm not like I'm not sure about how much he throws or the distinctness of the pitch. But I'm pretty sure he does throw a sinker.
One guy I did want to ask you about, because I know you're really big on him, is Rory Fox. and really more because I've noticed that, he strikes guys out, right? He pulled up 8, 9 strikeouts in a game, but he seems to have trouble once this lineup rolls around for the second time.
I think, just his background is, he was a multi-sport athlete, not just in high school, but I think he technically started. I may be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure came. He was on the Notre Dame football team initially as well, and I know that he played multiple positions on the baseball diamond. I think we're just talking about a guy who really just has never tr focused on
They're still learning
baseball
how to pitch.
completely. Exactly, he's just learning how to pitch still. And you he has really you can see that he was a good athlete because he has such fluid motions on the mound. And he was pretty consistent with his delivery. I think, and he has good stuff. It's just about doing that over 6 innings because I think you'll see an inning like his first start. I remember he struck out like five of the first six guys, and then gets blown up in the next few innings. So I think it's really just about that building that consistency inning over inning for him right now, which I think will just come in as he gets more innings.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that he's still like learning how to pitch. This is another guy whose, ERA is just climbing down after each outing and seems to be just getting slowly better after each outing. I'd like to see him maybe limit the long ball a little bit. He hasn't given up more than
Mhm.
one in a single outing, but I'm seeing that be a bit of a trend over the last handful of starts. And I haven't watched enough of his starts to really comment on the fact of it rolling around, but the guy seemed to be hitting better than against him than some of our other, highly touted prospect starters. So definitely an arm to watch just throughout the season to see how much better he truly gets. I didn't know that about him possibly being on the football team though. That's really interesting.
I will double check that, but I just remember that was a big thing I remember seeing when I was learning about him after the draft is it's either he was like on the football team his freshman year or he was playing like multiple positions on the baseball diamond or both. I just remember, this wasn't a guy who was just dedicated to baseball.
Yeah. He's got the frame for football, that's for sure.
Yeah, 6'3", 200.
Wasn't that also the
Yeah.
Lombard situation? Lombard was like a soccer player, wasn't he?
Yeah, in high school, yeah.
Is his brother the same way or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think his brother was. I think his brother was fully committed. I think Lombard was the one who was a two-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Or George, sorry. Moving on to the Tarpons. Luis Durango hit 364, 728 OPS, and RBI, four steals. Jackson Lovich hit 360 with a 1269 OPS, four home runs, 10 RBIs, three walks, three steals. BMG hit 333 with a 968 OPS, a home run, three RBIs, four walks, five steals. And Hans Montero hit 238 with 1121 OPS, five extra base hits, two home runs, four RBIs, five walks.
Before, because I know who the main piece of conversation will be for this level, but I just want to shout out Manuel Tejeda. You were going over the guys who got promoted at
Mm,
the beginning of the episode. He was someone who got promoted to Hudson
yes.
Valley. He played well this year in Tampa, even after a slow start. He's a guy I've always liked, so it's good to see him get the move.
Who'd you think that main point of the conversation would be though?
A certain guy who hits leadoff and may or may not have hit three home runs today.
Number 18, things like 6'4".
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
mean
mean, go
we can
ahead,
get
go
into
ahead.
it. We can get into it. I mean, I feel like every single day I feel like I see a Jackson
Hold
Lovich
on, hold
homer.
on. No, no, no. Hold on, hold on. Let me just go into the pictures, then we'll just go right into that.
okay, that's
Um,
fair.
Tyler Boudreau, 10 innings, 10 innings, one earned run, one walk, 13 strikeouts. One thing about him, I know he's pitched really well, I think, this season, but he just screams reliever for some reason to me. Henry Lalane had one of his best starts, four two-thirds inning, two earned runs, four strikeouts, no walks. JT Etheridge, four innings, four hits, no earned runs, a walk and six strikeouts. And Jose Martinez continues to pitch well out of the bullpen, three and two-thirds innings, one run allowed, two hits, four strikeouts.
Yeah, I agree on Boudreaux. Another Texas Tech guy. Him,
Mm-hmm.
Mac Hewer, and Jack Siebert, all Texas Tech Red Raiders. He has a really good fastball. It's not like the highest velocity. I think it maxed like 95, but he has a lot of inverted vertical break on it. That makes it a plus weapon. Yeah, no, I think he's definitely a guy who will thrive as a reliever. And I have a feeling it'll definitely happen at some point. But, maybe with Thatcher Hurd, he's pitching well as a starter, so they might not move him yet. But maybe when Thatcher Hurd and Wyatt Parliament move up to Tampa, he might be a guy who moves into more of a longer relief role.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say once Parliament and Hurd come up, he might even be on to Hudson Valley.
That's true. That's true.
Pitching side, not mentioned, but Grayson Carter, I've watched a couple of his. Like
Mm.
he can chuck the ball. Like he's hitting 100. Um, a little bit of command issues, obviously, but that's with most people hitting 100.
Well, one thing
Uh,
about him though is I want to say though, credit to him. The last few outings with him, the command has been really good. The
Mhm.
walks have been down tremendously.
Yeah, it's gone from a big command issue to like a moderate command issue.
yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say I'm looking at April, his first couple of starts, 6 walks, four,
Yeah.
3, and then this
Yeah,
month
it was out of
one,
control.
1, 2. So now
Yeah.
it's a moderate issue. He's
Yeah.
at 6 walks,
Hey, it's progress. I see it as progress.
six in an
It's
inning too.
progress.
Speaking of progress, though, with Leilani, I mean, I know we're all pretty big on him here, but to see him not surrender any walks in that last outing,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Like
Yeah, I
most
think
inning,
it's a guy
most.
he's go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's the most amount of these pitched so far, just by a little bit,
Mhm.
but to not give up any walks, I mean, is a great sign.
I mean, like I think I
Yeah, I
spoke
think
to him. I think I spoke to him about a week ago. He told me that this is the best that he's felt health wise in a very long time. So
It's
I'm
awesome.
hoping that those results start. Eventually we start seeing it in the box score for him.
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like some of the pressure is off him. A lot of obviously between the timeout injured and other guys kind of moving up. I feel like there isn't need to be this much the expectation around him. Just see if he can refine that magic. But there's not this pressure of being the guy you once were. And maybe by not having to focus on that, he can get back to being the guy we all thought he was at one point. But, it's just good to see him on the mound mainly.
Mm. All right.
Also, it's good to see Chase Hampton back in rehabbing. He
Yeah.
started
Yes.
his rehab in Tampa and hasn't been the best, but his shapes look good. It's just still looking for a little bit more velocity, but no, it's good to have him back as well.
All right. Going to move on to, I don't know if any of you have gotten a chance to look at the MLB pipeline and Baseball America's new top 30s that dropped. Any
Pipeline, yes,
surprises?
but
Yeah. I thought
I mean,
I didn't see much from Pipeline's movement. I think Wade Winquist was obviously removed, but
mhm.
otherwise, I didn't see much movement.
I think the big things that they did were, I mean, because the top 10 is basically the same.
Yeah.
Most of the top, even like Brock Selvage still sitting at 15, Milane at 14. I know they have Kyle Card 11, Core Jackson 12, Caden Kent 13. I think the big thing, yeah, has happened kind of in that last 20 where Sean Paul Ganon moved on. 'Cause I
Hmm.
don't think he was with the org when they last did this. Matt Hewers in at 24, Siebert at 25, Kudo at 26. They still keep Harrison Cohen at 27 and Razelman at 28 and Tony Rossi at 30. I think, their use of some of these relievers in there are a little interesting. Razelman, yeah. I think there's a couple guys you could say who are a little ahead of Cohen and Rossi. The pipeline just is so consistent, just kind of throwing a couple of relievers in the back end. I don't get
Hmm.
it, but it's how they do it.
I was honestly a little surprised to see Caden Kent not bump up a little bit. I don't know necessarily if I'd throw him in the top 10 over guys like, Hampton, Hurd, or Pico
Yeah.
Cone, but I mean, I'd certainly put him above Core Jackson right now. And
Yeah.
I know they don't really you don't really rank guys based on just like box score performance or whatnot, but I mean, it's hard in this case to not really do that with Caden Kent. I mean, he's just been so good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you want to see a little more power, but it's funny you say that because there's definitely guys in the further back who I could say I think I could see over Kent, but you're right. There's Core Jackson, Kyle Carr, and Pico Cone. I can make convincing argument of why Kent should be ranked ahead of all three of them right now. So it's definitely maybe been a little shortchanged in this ranking.
And just to plug real quick, we're working on the top 30, so it'll be out soon. Moving on to the who's hot section of things. Obviously, Jackson Lovich over his last 13 games, not counting today, is hitting 377 with 1185 OPS, 8 extra base hits, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, a walk rate just a tick over 11%, strikeout rate a little bit high at tick over 30%, 208 WRC plus. Go ahead, Aaron. I know you're ready for
I
this.
listen, I'll be quick 'cause I want to hear from the other guys too, but I just remember, like I guess it wasn't even 2 weeks ago, firing off a tweet saying, "Yeah, listen, I like Lovich, he's doing well, but like, I the game power
Calm
hasn't
down.
been there, and
Mhm.
it wasn't calmed down, just like he
What was it? What was
the
it about the game power that you said?
it was just the bat path, needed some adjustment. He wasn't pulling the ball in the air or getting it off the
Mhm.
air, off on the air much, and his zone contact was bad. Like, let's just let him stay in Tampa. Like, let's stop the Hudson Valley parade. And now he's
Okay.
hit like 7 home runs since. So I fixed him. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that. Honestly, let's keep him in Tampa for a little bit. I like watching these multi-homer games, but I just the feel for the barrel and the exit velocities, like I feel like a broken record. I feel like every time I hop on the show, I'm talking about it. But it's he's one of the most fun guys to watch, and I don't know after today if it's going to be the same. I mean, I imagine it probably will be if three of his at bats were homers, but that K percentage is looking better. Um,
And he did.
I
He had, as far as I saw the last, he had 2 hits in the second game because it was a doubleheader for Tampa.
okay,
No home runs though.
no.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
Look,
It's
Carlos, we
early. It's
were
early. It's early.
yeah, we were kind of talking about, what would it take to get like a guy like Jackson
Yeah.
Lovich, up another level. But again, I don't necessarily know if I want to move him up if he's playing this good. Why not keep the bat nice and confident and not really rush anything? I've seen people call him like the right-handed Spencer Jones. So if that approach is getting better as time goes on in low A, I mean, why not just let him sit there and keep mashing the ball for a little bit?
I don't mind letting them sit because we get the StatCast data, and
Exactly.
like I especially for my report website, I get that every time, and then for the Hudson Valley and Somerset, I hate when I get none of that. So I would
Mhm.
like him to stay there.
Agreed.
Yeah. I
That
think for
fact
Yeah,
alone.
me, I think that if he moves up, then that means that Caden Kent has to move up to Somerset as well because there's only so many at bats that they have
mhm.
available for him at Hudson Valley, and you want him
Yeah,
playing
that
every
that
day.
that Hudson Valley infield is
A little crowded.
packed. A little less with Cord Jackson out right now, but yeah, if
Mhm.
he comes back in, Lovich moves up. No, I mean it'll have to come soon. Despite the things that I still think he has flaws with, but he's improved the zone contact somewhat, and also just I've really gotten bigger into kind of not just how much does he chase and but like I'm more into swing ratios. And even though he does chase, more than you want a guy to chase regularly, he swings so much in zone consistently that it almost makes up for it. That even though he does, swing up balls he shouldn't, he's swinging at the pitches he should at a proportionately better rate. So, it's just he likes to swing a lot. And if he gets that zone contact up a bit, that'll really help those strikeouts because that means he's just getting the ball in play more consistently. Um, but yeah, it's not the biggest issue, his chase rate. Right now, it's more the zone contact that I'm lasered in on. And, even though I wish his pull air rate was higher, he has just a majestic opposite field power. He doesn't need to hit the ball to left field.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say something about that. The spray chart looks really cool. And for a guy, if you're just looking at the EVs and you're looking at, the barrel rate, like you'd probably expect him to pull the ball a lot more. And he's not really doing that. It looks like just two of his homers, I'm not counting today, are
I know
pull
one
side.
of them was pull side today, and two
Hmm.
were like to right center.
Hmm.
Okay.
The next guy up is Jay Savina. Over his last 11 games, he's hitting 383 with 1155 OPS, 9 extra base hits, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. The walk rate is up over the last 11 games to 11%, a little over 11%. Strikeout rate is down from a season of about 32 and a half on the season, but over the last 11 games, he's at 26, 199 WRC plus.
And I think coming into today, like over his last 10 games, there was only one of those games where he went hitless. So, I mean, he's just red hot. Like, there's no other way around it.
Yeah, I think I looked it up. His like first home run was like on April, I forgot which day it was. But since like mid-April, it's just yeah, I just clicked it from 417. His K rate is 28%, his walk rate's 10%. I'm sure if I did a little bit more shifting closer to May, it'd be even better. I just can't think of anyone who's just so consistently pulled the ball in the air so effectively. I know I talked about that earlier, but it is really impressive. Just, I think of Brendan Jones. I really like Brendan Jones. He was a guy who didn't have Jay Sabina has more raw power than Jones did,
Hmm.
but Jones just so effectively hit the ball to left field and made the most out of his game power. And Jay Sabina is really doing that this year. And a guy who had more raw power than Brendan Jones did, it's making a bigger difference, already having 12 home runs in, a month and a half of games. So it's very exciting because he's a guy I definitely liked when they got him from Milwaukee.
Avina, in 15 games this month, only one game he does not have a hit.
Wow.
The OPS has risen from 751 to 923. And, like, yeah, his May OPS 1159. It's
That's judgy.
he's had a great
Yeah,
month.
that's judgy.
The next guy up was Garrett Martin over the last 12 games. He's hitting 327 with a 1070 OPS, 8 extra base hits, all home runs, 12 RBIs, 10% walk rate, 20% strikeout rate, 174 WRC plus.
Yeah, I think he's another guy who just knows how to pull the ball in the air. And with him, he's kind of even more extreme than Lovich. He swings at everything. He has a 58% swing rate, which is 98th percentile, but he has like an 80% zone swing. So like he's just doing such a good job of at least he's swinging at everything in the zone. And with a not great but not awful zone contact, he's just getting ball in play so much. Like he doesn't walk, but he doesn't strike out a terrible amount either. He's just someone who's, I don't want to say like Jose Caballero, but kind of like Jose Caballero, where he swings at everything. But if he makes contact, he's doing a good job of making that damage contact.
I
I
mean, I
didn't
will
know
say
he's
that
already.
I was gonna say I will say his walk rate is up 4% over the last 12.
I did not know he almost matched his home run total from last year already in
Yeah,
like
he
a
had
third of
14
the
last
games.
year.
I did not know
Yeah,
that at all.
no, he was he looked like a solid UDFA guy who was helping fill in, some depth, and now he looks like a guy, like I said earlier, I could see him as a fourth outfielder for someone. I could see him like a Randall Grichuk type.
Is he short for Scranton?
I mean, both should be up there if you really, like if you really
If
wanted
you're
to.
starting Duke Ellis,
He's not on the 40 man, right?
I don't think he
Duke
is.
Ellis,
No,
they got him
I
off
don't think he
it.
is.
Good. Yeah, I would like to see at least one of them get the bump.
All right. Next guy up is Kyle West. Over the last 9 games, he's hitting 364 with a 1205 OPS, 5 extra base hits, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, walk rate of about 5.5, strikeout rate at 36, 196 WRC plus.
The fact that WRC plus is that high with that type of like K to walk ratio
Hmm.
is crazy.
This is the part where Aaron's going to tell me about what he's swinging at.
Um, he
Everything.
is swinging at everything. Surprisingly, he is swinging at everything. His
Hey,
and
hey,
he
that's how
just
you make
has
things
like,
happen. That's how you make things happen.
and he just has. I don't believe this to be true. He has a 95.7% strike rate. That mean like that can't be right. That's way too high. But if that's to be true, he's just never seeing a ball. Uh,
It
which
seems
is
true.
like I don't believe that's got to be a data issue from
In May, he has 29 strikeouts and 2 walks in
okay, maybe
seven
it isn't a data
I
issue.
mean,
in
they got to
May.
address that a little
Is
bit with him.
No,
Like,
it's
is he
listen, he's not
Dominican?
going
Is he
anywhere.
Dominican? Is he Dominican?
Uh,
he was a sub 20% strike guy in his last year at West Virginia too. He walked more than he struck out.
I don't even believe that now that 26
it's
strikeouts in
yeah.
April and just 6 walks.
No, it's listen, like it's good to see him get into the game power because if he's gonna do
Yeah.
anything, it's got to be by hitting bombs as a first baseman. But there's definitely a lot to. And he has an 81% zone contact rate, so he like makes a decent amount of contact in the zone. Yeah, he's just not swinging enough for as much as he swings. He needs to swing more in the zone and less out of the. It's I don't know. It's a very weird mix right now with him. Um, but yeah, it's definitely needs to calm things down and trust himself to hit the ball hard when he does hit the ball because I just don't think he's putting himself in the best positions right now. But we're starting to see what can happen when he does.
Yeah, I was gonna say over the last 9 games, things have started to work out for him, and hopefully they continue to look good for him. The last guy I had was Eric Raiselman, who recently got the bump, so congratulations to him. 3.12 ERA, 17 in the third inning, 17 in the third inning, 10 hits, 4 walks, 32 strikeouts. That's about a 17 K per nine, almost a 50% strikeout rate, 161 average against. I mean, it's night and day for me. It's night and day. He told me that he had an injury last season and he was trying to push through it because he felt he was close to making his debut. And that's not always the best path to take when you're injured. And he did say that he eventually learned that he should have spoke up sooner. But I'm glad that everything is working out for him now. It should be a matter of time for him to make his major league debut, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I mean, he probably was a guy who could have just made the jump right up to the Bronx. I mean,
Mhm.
it makes so much sense when you say that he had an injury he was dealing with last year because I mean, he had a 9 walk per 9, and then this year it's well below 3 and almost below 2. Uh, just looks way more comfortable up there, and that's I guess just a testament to the fact that he's healthy.
Mhm. And he's had
I
a slight
mean,
uptick in the fastball as well. Mhm.
yeah, what had he ever hit 100 before? I know like
No,
he had velocity, but he was always I feel like more
no.
97, 98.
Yeah, he was 98.
Um, Yeah, no, like he's throwing more strikes than he has, and even a couple years now, he's getting a lot of swing and miss. It's this is the guy we thought we had going
Hmm.
into last year.
Right.
Um, Now it's just a matter of showing that off for a little bit at AAA again. Like we need to see this version of him in AAA. Hopefully, he's not thinking about how things went wrong for him last year. I did he didn't pitch today, right?
No,
I don't think he came in
no.
good. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to see him tomorrow. Um, but yeah, no, it's this is getting his return is so good because now it's just last year there we had to make all those trades because there was no one to call up, and
Hmm.
this year while I could still see them making a trade, there's legitimate options
Right.
brewing within the system again.
You mentioned he thought he was close to making his debut, and when we watched him in that spring when he like really made a name for himself, I was really excited. I thought he was going to be easily in the bullpen. I obviously he thought the
Hmm.
same. Um, and it was just like so tough seeing the numbers after what we saw the year before, and then this year in May, just 1 walk, 14 strikeouts. I mean, just getting the walks down is awesome because his stuff looks really good, and when he's in the zone, he's probably going to be really good. So. Um, I think I could see him here in 2 months, less than 2 months, like just off an injury or someone gets injured. He
Hmm.
just feels like the next most ready person. Like, I know we talked about LeGrand, but like you said, he could have Brazelman could have made the jump. Like, yeah, he really could have made the jump, and I would be seeing him, or even over Giovanni Cruz, who I was a little surprised they brought up after a couple shaky outings,
Hmm.
where people were really hitting the fastball too. But I hope we see Cruz today, actually. But.
Yeah, going into
uh,
the 25 season, I thought Razorman had closer stuff, setup man
Yeah.
closer stuff. So it was a little disappointing. But at least we know what was going on, and now he's healthy and he looks like that guy again.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, the StatCast data now that he has his stuff back because his fastball was like 94, 95 last year, I think.
Hmm.
And didn't have like it was like a below average rated pitch. Um, and I want to, that's not what we thought, that's not what we were told about him or what we saw from him before. So I'm definitely excited to see what it looks like now that he's back at max velocity.
That was all I had, guys. Is there anybody you guys want to bring up? Nope.
No, I'm good.
No.
Uh-huh. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. To everyone else in the chat, please make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe. Good night.